Hey guys, it's me Chandra again. So today's video I want to cover for who should you pull in 2.8 in Wuthering Wave. So this time between Chisa, Phoebe, Phrolova, and Cantarella. And of course I will include like should you pull the Resonant Chain or Signature Weapon. So yeah, let's get started. So let's start first with the brand new character, Chisa. So for Chisa, I don't have much to talk about her. The main highlight of hers is that she is very good support for premium team Cartetia. So if you pair along with Chacona, yeah, they are actually really good. But as for right now that I test, I already have S3 Cartetia, so I'm so sorry if it's not so relatable for S0 player. But even then at S3, she's really good support in here. Have a good coverage of AoE and crowd control. Basically, like in third varsity, if there's like multiple enemies, you can just like gather into one place, and actually it's pretty nice. That's pretty much all the main highlight. I will talk more about in the recommendation to pull, but in here I will talk regarding her downside and some things to note first. So the main downside of her right now is basically synergy. She almost has no synergy with the current roster though. The one that can only match is literally Cartetia. You can argue like, yeah, but Phoebe, yes, but technically Phoebe premium team with Zani, it's also already a very solid team. And then if you pair with Zani, the problem is that Zani cannot fully utilize Chisa Kit, especially from the weapon itself. So because of that, like it doesn't feels like super wow. It's okay alternative, especially if you want to play like more PB, like maybe on field, then you can pair with Chisa. It's actually pretty good too. But it's not even justified enough for me for you to pull for Chisa just for the sake of PB. So yeah, she is at the current state very lacking of synergy for the current roster, and also like her team right now, it's very limited, the one that we can consider good. So yeah, because of that, this is basically a note that she probably one of the character that, as other people already say, probably meant for the future, because her kit, if you read right now, it's actually a lot of strange word that even not exist at the current roster kit. Let's say like Electro Rage. This is basically related with the negative status of the Electro itself. Also like there's still a bunch of negative status that we don't have right now, side Glacio, whatever, Shaft, I don't know even how to pronounce, Fusion Burst, Electro Flare. So yeah, this is basically a kit that doesn't exist right now. So probably this will be for the future though. And additional information, if you wonder if she can become main DPS, and I can say technically can, but don't expect that she will be as good, let's say like, you know, Brand, Cantarella, where the typical all-rounder that actually as a main DPS is actually pretty good. But for Chisa, it's just like barely pass. And even then you have to utilize the benefit or the buff from the tower itself, and even then you have to always crit. At least this is conditioned with the average echo stats, nothing like super crazy. Of course, if you really have a good stat, then it will make easier. So if I rank, she is probably still better than Lupa in terms of DPS, but it's not justified enough for me to say that she is a good main DPS. You can still push it if you really like Chisa at S0, but it just like barely can pass. In the end, I still have my recommendation for you to pull for Chisa, which is first, if you want a premium team for Cartetia, then yeah, I recommend for you to pull for Chisa, because in Cartetia team, Chisa is actually really good. I cannot give you around the estimation how good at S0 Cartetia, because mine already S3, so yeah, that's quite unfortunate. But second, maybe you're visionary, want to prepare for the future, which is most likely the character will be involving with this negative status, then yeah, you can start to pull for Chisa. But again, this is still somehow like gambling. It's not guaranteed though. But it's just like not make sense having this type of kit where they will never utilize or they just like abandon, right? For sure they do this on purpose. Next, maybe you want to extend even more teammate for PB DPS, then yeah, you can consider, because PB DPS with Chisa is actually pretty good though. But it's not really a biggest pulling factor for me. It's kind of like if you just want more. Lastly, if you like character gameplay, feel free to pull for Chisa. For Chisa, she'll pull for the Resonant Chain or Signature Weapon, and for me in general, her Signature Weapon will be better, mostly because it gives you critical rate, give you attack, give Resonance Liberation, and also give team buff by increasing 24% of all tribute damage bonus. But take notes, this is only Resonator that can apply negative status by itself, so something like Cartetia, Chacona, or even Phoebe. So Zani cannot utilize this, which is unfortunate though. And also this is 100%, so it's also more consistent and you don't have to gamble with 50-50. However, if you only care, let's say like Zani itself, then maybe you can consider something like S1. This is still not bad because it still can give you also immune. And in my rotation when I'm using her, sometimes she can getting interrupted, but nothing really crazy. So, but at least it's still pretty much nice. Also give Chisa attack and also another fix of havoc damage. So in general, still pretty good for her. her personal damage in general. But of course, if you already aim S2, then this is already better than signature weapon because literally ignore 10% of Havoc Rest, and also nearby Resonator will get like 50% of all tribute damage bonus, which is actually huge in. So if I rank S2 is better than weapon is better than S1. Next is Phoebe. So for Phoebe, I will talk her positive integrate with the recommendation directly, but I will just want to give highlight is that Phoebe is a hybrid character where she can become a main DPS and also as a sub DPS or support, mostly for Zani to apply the Spectral Frazzle. However, before moving into recommendation, I want to talk a little bit about her downside or at least something to know. First, Phoebe one of the characters that her rotation need to be not getting interrupted. The moment she getting interrupted, it can extend her rotation, which kinda make it annoying, or you need to trigger perfect dodge though. Because of that, it's kinda conditional sometimes, or you can get a bad RNG, then it can make her rotation longer. Second, Phoebe in multi-waves content feels like kinda inconsistent or feels like more like timing based, because she can be actually good or actually not great, mostly because she cannot carry forward the Spectral Frazzle. So let's say if you apply Spectral Frazzle to the enemy that's about to die, and then once you do your rotation, the enemy die in the middle, the next rotation with the fresh enemy, basically your damage getting nerfed, which is quite unfortunate. So if you can well timing that into your multi-waves content, actually she is good because she can cover in AoE too. But of course, I still have my recommendation for you to pull for Phoebe. First, if you have Zani, then I really recommend for you to pull for Phoebe. Phoebe is such a quality of life and literally improves Zani damage by a lot, literally quite significant. So yeah, I recommend if you have Zani, pull for Phoebe. Second, if you like a dual role, let's say like Phoebe, where she can become main DPS check, can become like top DPS support type check along with Zani. Like you like to keep changing playstyle, then yeah, Phoebe is one of the characters that it can do these two different playstyle though. Third, if you need a good character that can cover in AoE or even that can freeze the enemy itself, then yeah, Phoebe is one of them because she can freeze the enemy for a while. Another, if you need a DPS that have good budget team, then yeah, Phoebe is one of them because literally you can just put like Spectral Rover and even like Farina, it's already pretty much a good team for DPS. And lastly, of course, if you like the character gameplay, feel free to pull for her. For Phoebe, should you pull for early sequence or signature weapon? And for me, in general, still signature weapon is better in general, mostly because it gives you critical rate, gives you attack, and a bunch of buff in basic attack and heavy attack for basically her personal DPS itself. Also amplifies Spectral Frazzle target for the active Resonator, which is pretty good for Zani too in general. So that's why like for Zani, even for herself, this is actually really good. Also 100%, so it's a safest choice. However, if you already have weapon, let's say like String Master or even the Cantarella weapon, Whisper of the Sirens, if I'm not wrong, then you can go with the S1, it's around the same. But again, you have to deal 50-50, so in general, I can say weapon is still a best choice. But yeah, S1 is still not bad if you already have like String Master or Cantarella weapon. It Absolution and Confession, so make her DPS is kinda better a little bit. But of course, if you want to go for S2, this is already better than signature weapon, but basically buffing even more and quite significant both in Absolution and Confession, which is pretty good though. Third is Cantarella. Cantarella in general, the main highlight of her is that she's all-rounder, meaning that she can do anything as a main DPS check, sub DPS check, support, healer check though. And specifically, she'll be very good partner with Phrolova. But for the more, I will talk in the recommendation to pull, but I will talk a little bit about her downside and things to note. The main downside, or mostly I can say this is annoyance, is that she's one of the characters that in terms of rotation quite easily to getting interrupted, especially when you want to cast her forte, the big explosion jellyfish. Sometimes she quite easily to getting interrupted and literally just lose DPS, and that's quite annoying, and that can be solved actually with S1, which is unfortunate. And next is that because she's all-rounder, don't expect that everything that she did will be perfect. It's mostly like all good but nothing too crazy. Let's say like as a main DPS, yeah, she can clear anything pretty good, but it's not as great, let's say like Augusta or even Cartetia. So basically she can do everything, but all of them is not at the best. It's just like good enough. As for my recommendation for you to pull for Cantarella, which is first, if you need an all-rounder and comfy character to use day to day, then yeah, Cantarella is the one I recommend, mostly because I already stated before, she can become main DPS, she can become buffer or support, basically can, of course, specifically in buffing like Havoc character and also resonance skill damage dealer like Jinzi. Yeah, she can work in there. She also can become a good healer. So basically, whenever you need, you can just plug her. Even in some random team, in general, she can still work. Any type of content, she is good. Towered for CD check, whimpering wise, she also good. So basically, a comfy character that you can just plug in anywhere. So yeah, maybe if you're looking this type of character that can cover in pretty much different stuff, different roles, yeah, she is one of the characters that I read. So because of that, this is the continuation. Maybe casual will like this type of character because she can do pretty much a lot of different stuff, and I know like casual doesn't really care about like being the best. As long as it can cover everything, then yeah, you pretty much will like this type of character. Third, of course, if you are Phrolova main, I recommend for you to pull for her. She is literally synergized really well with Phrolova. And lastly, of course, if you like character gameplay, feel free to pull for her. For Cantarella, she will pull for early sequence or signature weapon, and for me, very depends on your objective. If you care purely about damage, then signature weapon will be better. Mostly because it gives you critical damage, give you attack increase, basically will buff her personal damage. But not only that, it also, when you switch to another resonator, she also can give buff to the other resonator, which is give you 40% of basic attack damage bonus and also ignore 12% of Havoc Crash to the target itself though, which is, it's pretty good weapon for her personal damage and also buffing to the team though. So if you care mostly purely about damage, then weapon will be better, and also this is 100% rate up, so literally the safest choice. However, let's say you already have weapon like String Master and you care more about quality of life, then S1 actually can be better, mostly because it also gives damage increase from the 4D circuit. Perception drain will increase by 50%, but the most important too is that it will give resistant interaction or immune to the interruption while you casting this 4D circuit though. And I already told you before, right, Cantarella quite easy to get interrupted when casting this 4D circuit, so this is actually quite good quality of life. Basically, when I get this is already feel really nice, give a lot of consistency. I didn't do so much retry anymore because that's quite annoying. So yeah, that's actually pretty nice though, improvement. Of course, if you're aiming S2, then S2 already better than signature weapon because the jolt damage is increased by a lot in here though. Last character is Phrolova. So the main highlight of Phrolova is that she's the main DPS that I can say one of the best one to cover for both endgame right now. She's both actually good in whimpering ways and tower adversity, because some of the character they're really good only at tower. Whimpering Way is not so great, but Phrolova is actually the most stable among all these characters, at least for me right now. And also she doesn't really need energy, so you don't need to care about energy regen, which is also huge, especially like Whimpering Waves. There's a wave that you start without energy, that basically no problem with Phrolova. I will talk more about her positive in the puller combination, but I will talk a little bit about some downside or things to note. And actually for her, it's not even a downside, it's more like a little bit annoyance where her rotation sometimes if you messed up, it can make it a little bit longer, but it's not something that crazy. Basically, when you start the rotation, you can start with the 4 nodes, but if you messed up a little bit, it starts with 3, so it just extend a little bit your rotation. That's basically only my annoyance though. And now for my recommendation for you to pull for Phrolova, which is first, if you need a good and strong main DPS that will cover in any type of endgame, then yeah, I recommend for Phrolova. She's good both Whimpering Waves and Power of Adversity. Second, if you need character that have a good crowd control and AoE coverage, then Phrolova is one of them. She's really good. Third, if you need a good character for you to echo farm, Phrolova is one of them. She's just easily pull enemy and just kill all of them, so convenience. And lastly, of course, if you like character in gameplay, feel free to pull for her. As for Phrolova, she'll pull for early sequence or signature weapon, and for me, I just recommend straight up go for signature weapon, mostly because it gives quite big improvement in terms of her personal DPS, give you crit rate also, which is nice. You see in here attack, resonance skill, echo skill, and also ignore target defense. This is actually good though, especially if you only have like the standard 5-star directive fire. This is actually quite big improvement. Even you already have the String Master, the improvement still quite noticeable though. So this weapon actually quite impactful for the Phrolova itself. Compared to S1, this is actually not bad. It gives you bunch of damage increase and also will give notes for quality of life for Phrolova, but her damage improvement from the weapon is just more justified, and also this is 100%, so it's more safe. That's why I just prefer for it to go for signature weapon first though. However, if you plan to go for S2, then of course this is already better than weapon, but of course you need to pull more and deal with 50-50. This is basically will buff one of her main damage, which is her heavy attack when you already have full notes. Yeah, this is actually huge too. So that's pretty much it though. So if you ask me which one is my verdict in 2.8, and for me it's kind of hard to have a precise selection right now. This very depends on what is your vision. If you just care about current timeline or current roster, then I can say Phrolova, mostly because she's just very stable DPS, can cover very well in any endgame, Whimpering Waste, Tower Adversity, even Hologram good, and day-to-day farming she is good because not relying on energy, can pull enemies, so everything she's just so comfy and yet strong. But if you talk about future, then you plan to pull future character, then I think the biggest bet right now to pull is Chisa, mostly because you just see her kit itself. It's just basically so strange with the current roster that only Cartetia that can match though. They even changed some of the negative status when Chisa released though. I think they cooking something for the future region character in here to probably will make Chisa will be the best generally support for the future character. But again, this is still just a bet, so take this with the risk. And maybe some of you that's still in dilemma should pull right now or just wait for the future region, because we pretty much almost moved to the new region, right? Then for me, just wait though. You just don't need to rush though. Chisa even right now still have like couple weeks in here for you to just wait, and maybe perhaps they show already like character lineup that maybe start can give you more idea what you will pull, or even they just literally drop out the gameplay itself, like how they give the gameplay of Cartetia and Augusta, maybe something like that, and yeah, from that you can just have more decision. So in very short, if you're still in dilemma, just wait a little bit though, hold on a little bit your FOPO and see what they reveal and decide. So that's pretty much it. If you like this video, feel free to hit subscribe button and like, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.